The wind cut across the frozen land like sharp knives. Snowflakes swirled in the air, heavy and endless. The wasteland stretched far, white and dead, without a single sign of life. A man walked alone in this empty land. His coat was thick, his boots heavy, but still the cold bit into his skin. Each step crunched in the ice, each breath turned to smoke in front of him. He was not lost, but he was far from home. He was searching, though he did not know for what. Then he heard it. At first he thought it was the wind, a thin sound, high and weak, but the wind did not weep like that. He stopped, held his breath, and listened again. The sound came once more, soft, broken, like a child crying in pain. The man turned his head. The cry was faint, carried by the storm. He pushed forward, climbing a ridge of ice. His heart beat faster. No one should be alive in this wasteland. Nothing survived out here. At the bottom of the ridge, half buried in the snow, lay a small figure. The man hurried down. His boots sank deep, but he fought forward until he reached her. It was a girl. At least she looked like a girl. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the dark snow. Strange blue lines ran along her arms as if her veins shone with light. Her hair spread around her face, silver and fine like frozen threads. She was alive, but only just. Her eyes were closed, her body shaking. Her lips moved, whispering words too soft to hear, and from her eyes rolled tears, bright and glowing, leaving little blue trails in the snow. The man froze. This was no human child. This was something else. Something not of his world, but her cry pierced him, weak, helpless, abandoned. Without thinking, he knelt and lifted her into his arms. Her body was light, fragile as if she might break apart. She gasped softly when his warmth touched her. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed across the ice. The man turned his head quickly. From the shadows of the storm, shapes moved, low to the ground, crawling, eyes shining like fire. Ice beasts. Hunters of the frozen land. They had smelled weakness. They had smelled her. The man tightened his hold on the girl. He pulled the knife from his belt. The beasts circled, their jaws wide with jagged teeth. The storm roared louder as if cheering them on. One beast leapt. The man swung hard, the blade slicing across its hide. The beast shrieked and fell back, blood dark against the snow. Another beast rushed. The man kicked it, barely keeping balance as he shielded the girl with his body. He could not fight them all. He knew that. His strength would end and they would tear both of them apart. But then, the girl stirred in his arms. Her eyes opened, large, glowing silver. She looked at the beasts and tears fell again. The glowing drops hit the snow and the ice hissed. Steam rose. The beasts stopped. Their eyes narrowed. They sniffed the air and growled low. The man did not understand, but he felt a strange energy rise from her tears. The beasts backed away slowly, step by step, until they melted into the storm and were gone. The man breathed hard. His heart pounded. He looked down at her. She was trembling but alive. Her glowing tears faded into the snow. He pulled her closer, speaking softly, though he knew she might not understand. "You're safe now. I've got you." But even as he spoke, questions filled his mind. Who was she? Why was she left here to die? And why did the beasts fear her? The storm grew harsher. He needed shelter. Carrying her against his chest, he moved toward the cliffs where caves might hide. Snow whipped across his face, but he did not stop. The girl whispered something. He bent his ear close. Her voice was soft, broken. "They'd left me." The man felt a chill deeper than the wind. Left her? Who had done this? Why abandon her in this deathland? At last he found a hollow between the rocks. He pushed inside, set her down gently, and lit a small fire with frozen fingers. The flames rose weak but warm. He wrapped her in his coat, watching her pale face in the glow. She looked like a lost child, but everything about her was strange. Her glowing veins, her silver eyes, her tears that burned the snow. The man leaned back against the stone wall. His breath was heavy. He had saved her for now, but he knew this was only the beginning, because no one left a child in the frozen wasteland by accident. And somewhere, out there in the storm, someone or something was searching for her. The fire cracked softly inside the small cave. Shadows danced along the stone walls, giving the place an uneasy feeling. The man sat close to the flames, holding the strange alien girl in his arms. Her skin was still cold, but her breathing had grown stronger. He studied her face. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin carried that faint glow, and her silver hair shimmered whenever the firelight touched it. The glowing blue lines along her arms pulsed slowly like light running through wires. Who was she? Why was she left outside to freeze? The girl stirred and her lips moved. The man leaned down, trying to hear. Her voice was weak, broken, but clear enough. They'd left me. The words made his chest tighten. Left her? That meant someone had abandoned her here on purpose. Someone wanted her gone. He gave her water from his flask, letting her sip small drops. She coughed softly, then rested her head against his arm. For a moment, she looked at him with her glowing eyes, so bright they seemed to pierce into his soul. You, human? She whispered. He nodded, surprised she could even speak his language, even if broken. Yes, I'm human. I found you out there. You were dying. She shivered, her small hands gripping his coat tightly. Thank you. The man tried to smile, but before he could answer, a noise echoed from outside the cave, a low hum, mechanical, not the cry of beasts. He quickly put out the fire with Snow and pressed his back to the wall, pulling the girl close. He listened. The hum grew louder, followed by a sharp crackle. Blue light flashed across the cave mouth. The girl gasped. Hunters. The man looked at her sharply. Hunters? What do you mean? Her body trembled and tears slipped down her cheeks. Those same glowing tears that burned faint marks into the snow at her feet. They come in to take me, or kill me. The man's mind raced. Hunters, machines, beasts, soldiers, whoever they were, they didn't sound human. He moved closer to the cave entrance, keeping low. Outside, through the storm, he saw them. Tall metal figures walking slowly through the snow, light sweeping back and forth like search lamps. Their bodies were shaped like armored soldiers, but no faces showed, only dark masks with red glowing eyes. The hum grew deeper as they scanned the land. A strange device in their hands pulsed with light, sending waves across the snow. Searching, the girl pulled at his arm, desperate. Please hide me. They must not see me. The man looked back at her. She was terrified, more than of the beasts earlier. Whoever these hunters were, they were far more dangerous. He grabbed her hand and led her deeper into the cave. The tunnel twisted, narrowing as it went. They pressed against the stone, breathing quietly as the hum grew louder near the entrance. A red beam of light swept inside the cave. It crawled over the walls across the floor. The man held his breath. If the beam touched them, they would be found. The girl's glowing lines began to pulse faster, reacting to the hunter's presence. He cursed silently. She was giving off light like a signal. He quickly pulled his cloak around her, hiding her glow. The beam paused, hung in the air for a long moment. Then slowly it moved away. The hum faded into the distance. Only then did the man release his breath. The girl collapsed against him, shaking. They know I live. They will not stop, he frowned. Why are they after you? Her eyes filled with tears again. Because I said no. I would not be part of the right, the man blinked. The right? What is that? But she shook her head. Her strength was gone. She leaned against him, eyes closing. No time, you will see. If they catch us. The man felt a weight settle in his chest. He had saved her once, but now he was caught in something far bigger. If these hunters wanted her dead, they would hunt forever. And if they found her, he might die with her. Still, he could not leave her. He looked at her small form wrapped in his coat, at her glowing tears drying on her cheeks. She was helpless, abandoned, but she had trusted him, and he was not the kind of man to walk away. He lifted her again in his arms. The storm outside still howled, but he knew they could not stay here. The hunters would return. As he stepped out of the cave, the wind roared in his face. The land was wide, endless, and filled with danger, but somewhere out there had to be safety. Behind him, faintly, came a sound. A crack in the snow, heavy footsteps. He turned his head sharply. Through the storm, one of the hunters stood still, red eyes glowing in the white darkness. It had not left. It had been waiting. The man's heart jumped. He tightened his grip on the girl, his hand reaching for the knife at his belt. The hunter raised its weapon, the light glowing brighter. Snow whirled across the wasteland, hiding the sky and the stars. The man's breath came fast as he carried the alien girl through the storm. Behind him, the red glow of the hunter's eyes cut through the white darkness. The hunter raised its weapon. A sharp blue beam shot forward, striking the ice where the man had just been standing. The ground exploded in shards, spraying cold fire across his back. He stumbled, but he did not fall. He pulled the girl closer and ran into the storm. The girl lifted her head weakly, her silver eyes wide with fear. "They will not stop," she whispered. "They never stop," the man growled under his breath. He was no soldier anymore, but his spirit was not broken. He had fought battles before, though never against machines like these. Another shot burned past his side. The air hissed. He dove behind a jagged wall of ice. His knife was still at his belt, but what was a knife against metal giants? The girl tugged at his sleeve, her small hand shaking. "Hunters, my people, sent them." His head snapped toward her. "Your people? You mean they did this? They left you to die and now they send machines to finish it?" She nodded, tears glowing on her cheeks. "Because I refused. Because I said no." The storm screamed around them, covering their voices, but the man leaned closer. "No to what?" "The right," she whispered. "Every child must obey. Every child must give. I refused. I was cast away." Her words confused him, but there was no time to ask more. Heavy footsteps shook the ice. The hunter was close. The man clenched his jaw. He looked at his knife, then at the girl. He had two choices: hide until death found them, or fight until there was nothing left. He chose the second. He slipped the girl into a crack in the ice, covering her with his coat. "Stay here. Don't move," he whispered. Her glowing eyes widened. "No, they will kill you." "Better me than you," he said simply. Then he slipped out into the storm. The hunter appeared, tall and dark, red eyes scanning. Its metal body was covered in frost, its steps heavy but certain. The hum of its weapon filled the air. The man circled behind broken ice. His heart pounded. He waited, breath slow, muscles ready. When the hunter stepped close, he moved. With a sharp cry, he leapt forward, knife flashing. The blade struck between the hunter's armor plates, deep in the joint of its neck. Sparks flew. The hunter roared in a soundless electronic scream, swinging its arm like a hammer. The blow struck the man hard, throwing him into the snow. Pain burned through his ribs, but he forced himself up. He ran at the hunter again, stabbing once more. Sparks burst. The machine staggered but did not fall, its weapon lifted, glowing bright. The girl cried out from her hiding place. Her tears streamed down, hitting the snow like drops of fire. They hissed, steaming. The air trembled with strange power. The hunter paused. Its red eyes flickered. For a moment it hesitated, as if something inside it feared the glowing tears. The man did not waste the chance. He drove the knife deep into the same wound again. The blade slipped between wires into the core. With a final burst of sparks, the hunter collapsed, falling heavy into the snow. The man fell too, breathing hard, his hands shaking. His knife was black with burned metal. The girl crawled out, clutching his coat around her. She stared at the broken hunter, her body trembling. "You fought them," she whispered. "No human ever fights them. You could have run, but you stayed." He looked at her, still catching his breath. "I don't run from monsters." But even as he spoke, more lights appeared in the storm. Red eyes glowing in the distance. More hunters, dozens, maybe more. The girl's face went pale. "They come, many. We must go to the ruins." "Ruins?" he asked. She nodded quickly. "Ancient home. My people left it long ago. Only there. Maybe we survive." The man looked at the hunters approaching through the storm. His body ached, his chest burned, but his spirit sharpened like his blade. He picked her up again, pressing her close. "Then lead the way." The storm swallowed them both as they fled into the frozen wasteland. The hum of hunters following like a drumbeat of death. Behind them, the broken hunter twitched once more, its red eyes flashing weakly, and in its final spark of life it sent out a signal, calling every hunter in the wasteland to the chase. The frozen wasteland stretched wide, endless, cruel. The man carried the alien girl against his chest, each step sinking into the snow. His ribs ached from the hunter's strike, but he did not stop. Behind them the storm howled, and far away faint red lights glowed through the white darkness. The hunters were still following. The girl shivered under his coat. Her silver hair clung to her cheeks, her glowing eyes half closed with weakness, yet her voice came soft and urgent. "We must reach the ruins there. May be safe." The man glanced down at her. "What ruins?" She swallowed hard. "Ancient city, buried in ice. Long ago my people lived there. The hunters fear it." That made little sense to him, but he had no other choice. He needed shelter. He needed a place where they could fight or hide. So he nodded and pressed on. The storm was merciless. Hours passed. His breath grew heavy, his legs numb. More than once he almost fell, but each time the thought of the girl dying in his arms pushed him forward. Finally, through the snow, dark shapes rose on the horizon. Jagged towers of ice, broken stone beneath. The ruins. The man staggered closer. The girl's eyes opened wider as she saw them. For the first time since he had found her, she almost smiled. Yes, here. The old place. They entered the ruins, stone walls half buried, carvings covered with frost. Strange symbols glowed faintly on broken pillars, written in a language the man could not read. The wind grew quiet inside these walls, as if the ruins themselves pushed the storm away. The girl slid down from his arms, her bare feet touching the ice. She wobbled, but stood. She looked around with awe, like a child seeing home again after many years. This place remembers me, she whispered. The man raised an eyebrow. Remembers you? She touched one of the glowing symbols on the wall. The stone pulsed with blue light. For a moment, the ruins seemed alive. The man stepped closer, uneasy. What is this place really? Her silver eyes met his. It was once the heart of my people. Before the hunters. Before the right, he frowned. The right? You said no to it. That's why they abandoned you? She lowered her head. Yes, the right is sacrifice. Every generation, one child must give themselves to the old machines. To keep them alive. To keep the hunters loyal. I was chosen. But I refused, I ran. So they cast me into the wasteland and sent hunters to finish me. The man's jaw tightened. His chest burned with anger, not only at her people but at the cruel law itself. To throw away a child to make her food for machines, it was unthinkable. Before he could answer, a sound echoed through the ruins. A deep vibration, low and heavy. The ground trembled, the girl's eyes widened. She stepped back. It wakes. The man turned sharply. At the center of the ruins stood a massive shape, hidden under ice. At first it looked like part of the mountain, but then lights flickered across its surface. Metal glowed beneath the frost. It was no mountain. It was a ship, a colossal warship buried for ages, now stirring in the dark. The man's heart pounded. He had seen ships before, human ships, small and fragile, but this was a monster larger than cities, alive with power. The girl's voice shook. It remembers me too. It knows my blood. The ground cracked as the ship's engines groaned like thunder. Ice split and fell, shaking the ruins. The hunters' red lights appeared in the storm outside, drawn by the awakening. The man pulled his knife, though he knew it was useless against so many. He looked at the girl. What now? What do we do? Her glowing tears fell onto the ground. The ship answered. A blue wave of light swept across the ruins, forming a shield that pushed the storm away. The hunters stopped at the edge, pacing, their red eyes burning. The girl whispered, almost too soft to hear. It will protect me. Because I am air. But it will test you, the man blinked. Test me? The ground shook again. The ship's lights burned brighter, beams scanning over him. His chest tightened as strange heat ran across his skin, searching his very soul. The girl cried out. Do not fight it. Let it see you. He clenched his fists, standing tall under the light. He would not bow. He would not break. The ship's scanning beam paused on him. Then slowly it dimmed. The tremors stopped. The massive warship fell silent, but its light stayed alive, glowing like watchful eyes. The girl gasped with relief. It accepts you. But before the man could answer, a sound tore the air, a blast of fire. The shield cracked. One hunter had fired, its weapon burning through. The red light surged forward. The hunters were coming in full force. The man tightened his grip on the knife, standing between the girl and the storm. The warship's lights flared once more, answering the threat. Something terrible and powerful was about to awaken fully. The ruins shook as the hunters broke through the shield. Red lights cut through the storm, dozens of glowing eyes marching forward. Their weapons hummed, ready to kill. The man stood in front of the alien girl, his knife tight in his hand. The great warship behind them glowed faintly, still half buried under ice. Its awakening had slowed, as if waiting for the girl's command. She clutched his arm, fear in her silver eyes. The ship will not fight unless I call it. But if I do, it may never stop. Before the man could answer, the hunters parted. From between them walked figures not made of metal. They were alive, tall, cloaked in silver armor, their faces sharp and proud. They looked like the girl, but older, colder. Their eyes shone with the same silver light, though not soft like hers. Theirs burned like ice. The girl froze. Her lips trembled. Mother, father. The man's chest tightened. So this was her family. The rulers who had left her to die. The armored woman stepped forward, her voice echoing through the ruins. Child, you live. The girl's tears glowed as they slipped down her cheeks. You left me. In the snow. You sent the hunters. The woman's face did not change. Because you refused the right, you broke the law. You shamed us. One who rejects the right is no daughter of mine. The man's grip tightened on his knife. Rage burned inside him. He wanted to shout at them, to strike them down for what they had done. But he held still, waiting. The armored man, her father, spoke next. His voice was like stone. But still you live. The ship has awakened for you. That is why we came. You will complete the rite now here inside the old warship. Your blood will bind it again. The girl shook her head, her voice breaking. No, I will not give myself to the machines. I will not be a sacrifice. Her mother's eyes hardened. Then the human dies. The hunters raised their weapons at once, red eyes glowing brighter. The man stepped in front of the girl, knife ready, though he knew he could not win against them all. His breath came slow and steady. If this was his end, then so be it, but he would not let them take her. The girl screamed, rushing to stand beside him. Her glowing tears hit the stone, the ground shaking under their feet. The ancient ship stirred again, lights burning brighter. Her father snarled. Foolish child, if you refuse the right, you doom us all. The ship's hunger will spread. It will not protect, it will destroy. The man's eyes narrowed. You throw away your own blood, call it tradition, and dare to speak of doom. You are the doom. The father's silver eyes locked on him, full of hate. You are nothing, human. You are not part of this world. Yet she clings to you like a weakling. Perhaps you filled her with rebellion. The girl's voice cracked with anger. No, he gave me hope. Something you never gave. The ruins trembled with her cry. The hunter stepped forward, weapons humming. The man gritted his teeth, ready for the final fight. But before he could move, the ship roared. Blue light exploded from its core, slamming into the ruins. Hunters were thrown back, sparks bursting from their bodies. The girl's family staggered, shielding their eyes. The warship's voice echoed through the air, deep and ancient. Air detected. Conflict detected. Choose protect or destroy. The girl fell to her knees, her tears glowing brighter than ever. The ship was asking her to decide, not only her fate, but the fate of everyone here. Her mother shouted through the chaos. Choose the right. Give yourself and the ship will serve us again. Save your people, child. Her father raised his arm. Or refuse and all will die. Even your human. The girl looked at the man. His face was calm, steady, though hunters surrounded him. He gave her one small nod as if to say, choose with your heart. Her lips trembled. Her hands shook. She whispered, I will not die for your right. The warship's light flared, shaking the ruins. Hunters screamed as they melted into sparks. Her parents' faces twisted with fury. Her father shouted, then you betray your blood. The man pulled the girl close as the ruins split open. Ice crashed down. The hunters regrouped outside, their numbers endless. The warship groaned, alive and waking fully. Its power rattled the ground like thunder. The girl whispered, voice full of both fear and courage, it listens to me. But if I use it, it will kill them all. The man's jaw tightened. Then it's your choice, not theirs. And whatever you choose, I'll stand with you. Outside, the hunters roared. Inside, the warship's lights burned like a rising sun. The battle for her soul, and for the frozen wasteland, was about to begin. The ruins trembled as the hunters closed in. Red eyes cut through the storm, hundreds of them marching across the frozen land. The girl clung to the man's arm, her silver eyes wide, her glowing tears falling onto the ice. The great warship behind them roared louder, shaking the ground, its ancient engines lit with blue fire. The air burned with power. The ship's voice echoed through the ruins, cold and vast. Air detected. Choice required, protect or destroy. The girl fell to her knees. Her small hands covered her ears as the voice filled her head. She whispered, broken, it asks me to choose. It asks me to give my soul. The man crouched beside her, gripping her shoulders. Then don't give it. Don't let it take you. She shook her head, trembling. If I do not, it may not fight. It may let the hunters kill us both. The ground split as a beam of red fire blasted through the ruins. The hunters were breaking inside. One metal giant stomped forward, weapon glowing. The man stood tall, knife in hand. He knew it was useless, but he would fight anyway. If it comes to death, then I'll die on my feet. The girl's tears glowed brighter. She cried out, her voice echoing through the ruins. No, I will not lose you. The warship stirred. Its blue lights flared across the sky, painting the storm with fire. From its buried cannons, lightning struck, tearing into the hunters. Metal screamed, sparks filled the air. Dozens fell, crushed and broken. The man shielded the girl as ice and stone rained down. The warship's power was terrifying, unstoppable. Her parents shouted from the far side of the ruins. Her mother's voice rang like a blade. Child, stop this madness. Give yourself to the right and the ship will be ours again. Her father raised his weapon toward the man. If you refuse, the human dies. The girl's breath caught. She looked at the man, then at her family. Her heart tore in two. If I choose to fight, my people will die. If I give myself, he will die. What do I do? The man's eyes burned into hers. His voice was steady, strong. Don't listen to them. You are not their slave. You are not their sacrifice. Choose for yourself, not for them, not even for me. For a moment she saw his strength, human strength. No glowing power, no ancient ship, no bloodline, just courage, just will. The hunters screamed as more lightning fell from the ship, but still they came, climbing over their fallen, firing beams that cracked the ruins apart. The man fought one as it reached them, stabbing deep into its joints. Sparks flew, his blade burning. The machine fell, but another replaced it. He cried out as a weapon struck his side, throwing him into the stone. Blood spread across the snow. No! The girl screamed. Her tears poured onto the ground, glowing like rivers of light. The warship responded. Its voice thundered in her mind. Soul connected. Power released. The ship rose from the ice, shaking free of its frozen prison. Towers of metal, wings of fire, eyes of endless blue. It was alive again. The hunters froze, their red eyes flickering. For the first time they seemed afraid. The girl stood tall, her silver eyes burning. Energy surged around her, linking her to the warship. Her hair lifted in the power's wind. She raised her hand and the ship answered. Blue fire rained down from the sky. The hunters screamed as they melted into dust. The storm itself seemed to flee from the warship's power, but the girl's body shook with the strain. Every tear weakened her. Every command drained her. The man crawled to his feet, clutching his bleeding side. He called out, his voice rough. Stop, it's killing you. She turned to him, tears streaming. If I stop, they will kill you. I cannot lose you. Her parents shouted again, their voices desperate. Choose the right. Sacrifice yourself and the ship will protect forever. The girl looked at them, then at the man. He reached for her, his voice steady even in pain. Don't give them your life. Don't give the ship your soul. You are more than their right, more than this war. Her hands shook. The warship roared, waiting for her choice. Then a hunter's beam struck the man's chest. He fell hard into the snow, blood staining the ice. Her scream shook the ruins. She dropped to her knees beside him, holding his broken body. Please, no. Do not leave me. The warship's voice echoed once more, colder than ever. Decision final, protect or destroy. The girl's glowing tears fell like fire onto his chest. She looked up at the endless blue light of the ship. Her voice trembled with fury and love. I choose him. The warship screamed to life, its power flooding the frozen wasteland. The frozen wasteland shook as the warship awakened in full. Its towers of blue fire split the storm, its cannons glowing like suns. Hunters screamed as they were ripped apart by lightning. The air burned with the power of an ancient giant set free. But in the heart of the ruins, the girl knelt in the snow, clutching the man's wounded body. His blood stained the ice. His breaths were shallow, weak. Her tears glowed brighter than ever, falling onto his chest. Each drop hissed like fire, sinking into his wounds. Please, she whispered, her voice breaking. Do not leave me. Not after everything. The man's eyes opened faintly. Pain filled them, but also warmth. His voice was a whisper. Don't give yourself up for me. Live your life. Don't let them take you. She shook her head fiercely, silver hair whipping in the storm. No, I choose you. I will not obey their right. I will not be their sacrifice. I will not let you die. Above them, the warship's voice thundered, shaking the ruins. Final decision, protect or destroy. The girl stood, holding the man against her. Her silver eyes burned with fury as she stared at the hunters still advancing. Her parents stood beyond them, their faces pale in the blue glow. Her father shouted over the chaos. "Child, think of your people. Choose the right. Bind yourself to the ship. Without it, we all die." Her mother's voice was sharp and cold. "He is nothing, a human. Let him go and do your duty." The girl's tears fell harder, each one burning the ground. She raised her voice clear and strong. "No, you abandoned me. You called me nothing. But this human, he gave me hope. He gave me life. I will not give him to you. I will not give myself to the right." The warship's lights pulsed as if waiting for her command. Hunters circled, their red eyes bright, weapons ready. The girl lifted her hands. Power surged through her veins, the same power that fed the warship. "I choose to protect." The sky exploded. The warship unleashed its fury. Blue fire rained down across the frozen land. Hunters screamed as they shattered into dust. The ground cracked, ice split wide, rivers of glowing light flowing across the wasteland. Her parents staggered, shielding their eyes. Their army was falling apart. The girl's body shook violently. Every drop of power burned her from within. But still she stood, holding the man close, refusing to let him die. The man coughed weakly, his eyes meeting hers. "You'll kill yourself." She smiled through her tears. "Then I will die free, not as a right, but as myself." The warship roared one final time, a blast of energy sweeping across the land. The last of the hunters fell silent, their red eyes fading into darkness. The storm broke, the sky clearing above for the first time in years. Silence fell over the ruins. Only the hum of the warship remained, quiet, waiting. The girl collapsed to her knees, her strength nearly gone. The man pulled himself up with what little strength he had, wrapping his arms around her. "You did it. You saved us." She leaned into him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "No, we did it." Her parents stood at the edge of the ruins, their proud faces broken, their voices silent. For the first time, they looked small, defeated. The girl turned her face toward them. Her voice was soft but strong. "You gave me nothing but pain. But I will not hate you. I will not be your right. I will not be your weapon. I will be free." The man held her tighter, his breath warm against her hair. "And I'll be by your side, whatever comes next." The warship dimmed, its lights fading into a steady glow. No longer hungry, no longer chained to the right. It seemed to rest, like a beast tamed by her choice. The frozen wasteland was quiet now, the hunters gone. The storm lifted. Only stars filled the sky, shining clear above them. The girl smiled weakly, her tears no longer glowing but soft and human. "Do you see the sky? It is beautiful." The man looked up, then back at her. His voice was gentle. "Not as beautiful as you." She laughed softly, leaning into his chest. For the first time, her heart was light. Not a sacrifice. Not an outcast. Just herself, free, and no longer alone. The man and the alien girl stood together in the ruins, survivors of a cruel world, bound not by blood or law, but by choice. The warship loomed behind them, a silent guardian. The stars above promised a new journey. They had no map, no home, no clear future, but they had each other, and for both of them that was enough. The end.